All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Berget. I'm the president of SCi-CAST, and I'm here with Stephen Baxley of Airworx Unmanned Solutions. Airworx is a proud supporter of SCi-CAST and multi-year supporter, actually. And Stephen, I'm here with Stephen. He's going to go through some of the more popular drones and kind of talk through, and when I say drones, I don't just mean aerial aircraft. Yep. We're going to talk through some aquatic aircraft or aquatic drones and robots and terrestrial robots. But he's going to kind of walk us through some of the more popular models, some of the pros and cons, and some of the advantages. So we're going to break this up into several segments so we have time to set up and kind of go through all the various different aspects. So stay tuned. Look forward to it.
All right, for our first segment on our drone series, or our aerial drone series, we'll talk about kind of the low-end trainer drone, the kind of the beginning, where you want to be if you want trainers. Or what we have done is we've taken what should typically be a toy drone, and this would not normally be in our repertoire. We sell enterprise and things like that. We don't sell the consumer toys, but we've been able to take a toy drone, the Mavic Mini, which this is the Mavic Mini 2. So there's been two different versions of this, and you can buy these at Walmart. You can buy them from us as well. But what we've done is we've created a saddle bracket that holds three very quality lights. These are made by Fox Fury, so we put three of these lights on there, and they can be adjustable. So this is just the saddle bracket. They already come with prop guards, and we add all this on, and then we have created this to be able to fly as a tactical unit inside of buildings and homes and things like that. So really we have designed it toward the law enforcement perspective, but it can be used for a lot of things. It can be used for an inspection drone because of the lighting. So if you want to fly it into a restricted space that you normally wouldn't want to put a person, or some gases or issues like that, you can fly this in. So that way you're not putting anybody at risk, and you can put these lights on there and it's going to work perfectly fine. So with the Mini 2, it has an advanced, the reason they come out with a new version, or the second version, is it has a more advanced transmission system, which is the same transmission system called OcuSync 2, which goes across the Mavic 2, the Mavic 2 Enterprise series, and all that. So you get what would be in a $10,000 system in a very inexpensive system under $600 just for the drone. This whole kit's a lot more expensive than that. But
what kind of sensors on there?
So with this one, it's just got a 12 megapixel sensor on the front, and it's going to record in 1080p. So it's a pretty good camera. I mean, it takes really nice photos. I mean, there's nothing there. It takes great video. You get about a 23 minute flight time per battery. If you buy the Fly More kit, you get 3 batteries with it. So with our kit, the way we recommend it as a mission-ready kit is we sell it with 6 batteries. We sell it with, it comes 2 different flavors. You can get a standard controller, or now you can use the smart controller. So if you want to go the smart controller with a built-in display, you can get it that way. We sell it with our GoCommand kit. We've got a quick kit here, so it's quick deployment with a 15-inch monitor, as you can see here, and a battery portable power supply and all that kind of stuff.
How's it do with the wind?
So this one's pretty good. I mean, even though it's small, a lot of people tend to think that it's not capable of being in a windy environment. I would not. It's not on the same scale as the larger Mavics, and the biggest reason is you can tell it's got really small props. Butterfly props is kind of what I call them. They're very kind of wispy. It's odd because this guy's about as loud as what we'll talk about later is the M300, which is our big guy. This guy is really loud for as small as it is, mostly because of the way the props are designed. But it can. I mean, you can. This is an outside drone. It's not just an inside drone. You can fly this outside on most average days here in the Carolinas, so you wouldn't have a problem.
It's kind of about all fun. The right tool for the right time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, very good. We'll look forward to seeing some other tools.
Good. Let's move on to the next one. All right, in this segment, we're going to talk about the Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced. So with this system, what we find is this is a very solid aircraft platform, and the reason is this has been on the market since 2018. And when I say that, this is the airframe itself. So they haven't changed anything since 2018 with the Enterprise model, which notoriously on the Enterprise you'll notice that it has the spotlights or speaker, these components attached to the top. That's the biggest difference in the orange stripes. On the consumer side, it didn't have that, and you had the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Zoom, which were originally released in 2018. This year in 2021, they decided to use the same exact airframe. All they changed was the component on the front, which is the advanced camera system, which is a 640 pixel density resolution thermal camera, and also has a 12 megapixel camera inside. I'm sorry, 48 megapixel camera inside with 32 times zoom. So this is an incredible unit for inspection, documentation, search and rescue, anything. The thermal from this what this produces now in relation to the Dual, which was the model before this, is 17 times stronger by pixel density, by the layout of the pixels. So this is a difference in 30 feet on the ground, being able to recognize a target on the ground from 30 feet in thermal typically, to 250 to 400 feet being able to identify the same thing. It's a massive difference.
And this model here, the Mavic 2, we use at Clemson a lot. It's a real reliable aircraft. I mean, the airframe itself has been in service for years and years, so it's real reliable. And I have one of these, and from a builder's point of view, the thermal's amazing. I have solar panels at my house. I was able to spot a defective panel 250 feet away without any kind of issue at all. And just being able to see leaks and things like that. That camera is very, very nice from being able to spot things, again, like you said, some distance away.
Absolutely. One of the good things about this is a lot of folks already have Mavic 2 systems, or Mavic 2 Pro or Zoom. All the components are agnostic. So batteries, if you've got battery sets, I know we had folks come to us and say, hey, we're ready for that. We want to go, we're interested in other stuff, but we kind of want to stay with the advanced just because we've already got 20 batteries or something like that. It's a lot of money, $189, $159 to $189 a piece on batteries. It's expensive. If you already got that investment, you can go and keep rolling to this. The first question always comes up, why can't we just buy the camera? DJI made this where you cannot swap cameras at field level. It's all built into the firmware and the board, so there's no possibility of changing out cameras to make it work. One of the significant differences is, although you can go backwards and have a standard controller or a smart controller on all the other series, the Advanced only works with a smart controller. Again, that's a firmware control from DJI, but as you can see here, we've got the smart controller set up and casting wirelessly to our GoCommand.
Yeah, I have a feeling that in a future segment here, we're going to be looking at some drones that you can swap out cameras.
Absolutely.
And multiple different variations of the GoCommands.
Absolutely. All right, in this segment, we're going to talk about the Autel Evo 2 Series aircraft system, and there's multiple ways you can configure this. What we like about this aircraft is that this was released about, I don't know, a year ago or so in 2020, early 2020, and what this piece of equipment is able to do is Autel's produce multiple cameras, and I think in the future they're going to continue to produce cameras just because we've had several different renditions come out. So for example, on the Autel Evo 2 system, you have the most popular for like mapping and general photography is the 6K 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor camera. So that's what we have here on this aircraft. So just for example, the other day we had a marketing video to shoot. So 99% of the time, this aircraft has our dual sensor on it. So there's actually 3 different versions of the dual sensor, and what the dual signifies is this has a thermal sensor and a standard camera in it. So in these 3 dual sensors, the 3 different versions that are out, this is one of them, and you can see it just simply comes out. There's 4 screws and what they call it FPC, or a pressure connector, that connects right in. So within about a minute and a half, you can swap cameras in the field if you have the proper screwdriver. But on the thermal, 3 different versions. So 2 of the versions currently out, so 2 different camera heads are FLIR models. So FLIR is a brand. A lot of people refer to FLIR as thermal, but FLIR is actually a brand. So with those 2 different ones, you can get a radiometric version, which actually measures heat and can give you a temperature reading. One is not, so it's a little less expensive by maybe $500, but they're very expensive. So 500 is not a lot when you consider that. And then there's another version made by a company called Infraray or iRay that is the less expensive. Personally, I like it better. It's a little, because it's A, cheaper, and B, it works just the same, and it has radiometric capability. The standard vision camera that's built into that module on all 3 of those is a 48 megapixel camera. So it's recording at 48 megapixel and 8K video. So you get kind of the best of both worlds if you want to go there, but if you need true mapping and documentation and things like that, we recommend just the 6K sensor, 6K 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor, because if you have something go wrong, airplane or the aircraft crashes or is damaged, you're only damaging $500 or $600 camera versus a $10,000 camera, which would be in a situation like that.
So excluding the sensors, can you talk through a little bit about the difference between this drone and maybe the Mavic?
Absolutely. The biggest difference, so the most common question we get is, what's the difference? Why would I buy this over a Mavic? The first thing I tell everybody is, when I look back 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago when we first got into the UAS business, What we found would have been, if we had a wish list, the most important thing that we could ever ask for was time in the air, flight time. And back then we were getting 10, 12, 15-minute flight times. Now most things average at 30 minutes. Well, that's what they're actually marketed at 30 minutes. So with the Mavic 2 systems, your true flight time, what we call drop out of the sky flight time, is meaning from takeoff until you drop out of the sky, you could get 30 minutes. But what happens is DJI and all the companies now have built-in parameters that have return to home and all that, the smart return to home and all those kind of things. So true flight time on the Mavic systems, 22, 23 minutes. On an Autel, you're getting true flight time of about 32 to 34 minutes. So you're getting 10 more minutes per battery flight time. So the battery is quite a bit bigger, more milliamps, makes a big difference. And the batteries are similar in cost. Aircraft is similar in size, capability, all those things. There's not a lot different there.
Now, are there built-in like geofencing like there is with DJI?
So with this, that's one thing. So the new software release that comes out, that has come out with this, is they have alerts, but not restrictions. So it will tell you, hey, we're trying to help you play within the rules with the FAA and not enter no-fly zone. So it alerts you, but it's not going to restrict you. It allows the pilot to make his decision, which is what the idea is, I think, behind what the FAA wants is that the pilot to make good decisions. That's the reason you have to have Part 107 and COAs and things like that. However, DJI has made that a little bit more difficult with having true restrictions, and you can't fly in some situations.
Right.
So,
well, very good. Well,
but one other thing I wanted to add while we're talking about it is we've got a couple different components with the Autel. So one is the live deck. So Autel right now, we're in the middle of, during this filming, we're in the middle of a big transition with Autel. One of the big differences is there's a live deck. This is an HDMI transmitter. So there's a version 1 and a version 2 Autel system, Evo 2 now. And the version 1 and version 2 has come out because of all the issues in the world with chip shortage and all that kind of stuff. They've had to redesign their chipset. With that chipset redesigned, nothing's going to change as far as what you see, only the compatibility. In the version 1, the earlier models, which we still have a few of those left, you can use a live deck, which is really nice because you can have dual channel. You got a remote control and a live deck receiving the same signal. And you can have those separated by 2 or 3 miles if you'd like. The new version 2 that's coming out, it's kind of going backwards. They're only going to have a single channel aircraft, so you won't have the ability to have multiple controllers or the live deck. So live deck's going away, which saddens us because it's a great tool. But what you will get is the smart controller. So smart controller is just a larger controller that has a 7.7-inch screen on the front, similar to a DJI, and you'll have that ability. Or you can have the standard controller, which is here, which has a small display in it, but you would use an iPhone or an iPad, something like that, to work that. But,
okay, very cool. It's
good.
A great aircraft. You see a lot of people using it.
Perfect. All right, we'll move on to the next segment. All right, in this segment, we're going to talk about the DJI Matrice M300 RTK system. So this is kind of the Mac Daddy, if you will. It's a lot of times I refer to things as the Cadillac of whatever. This is not even the Cadillac. This is the Porsche, the Rolls Royce, if you will. So we use this for public safety purposes mostly, just because it has so much capability and so many different payloads. It's very modular. You can do a lot of different things. So, but it does have RTK built into it. That's what you'll notice back at the back. It has RTK antennas to give you a much better positioning if you want to use this for mapping and things like that. You can use this also with the DRTK2 roving ground station. You can use that, or you can just use the RTK service if you have an RTK service in your state or your area. So we do have that here in South Carolina. We have one that the state assists with that you could simply subscribe to and utilize that. But so I'm going to quickly go through and kind of talk about some of the components that we have here from the perspective of public safety, or you could use them for different purposes. But so the RTK system, or the M300 RTK system, is what it is. It's how it sits. So what we've done is we've added a dual gimbal. Typically this will come with a single gimbal, but we always upgrade and dual gimbal so you can run 2 payloads on the bottom at the same time. What we've got is the H20T sensor here. So the H20T is a quad sensor. It's going to have a wide vision camera, a zoom camera, optical zoom 23 times up to 200 digital. It's going to have a 640 pixel density thermal sensor made by infrared. It also has a laser rangefinder. I always tell everybody and tout that it actually has 5 sensors built into it because it has an element of night vision. So you can go in a night mode, ultra low light sensor will switch over. If you have any infrared lighting, which we'll talk about in just a moment, if you have infrared lighting or infrared beacons or anything where it would be naked, or to the naked eye you wouldn't be able to see it, you're going to be able to see that marking or light on that camera during that mode. So really it's 5 sensors. So it's the best of the best. Also here currently attached is the MP130 public address speaker or loudspeaker. Out of everything on the table, when we do demos and show people, the most, I think what kind of makes people smile and they think this is the coolest thing is the speaker, because it is incredibly loud. It's stupid loud. I don't know any other way to explain it. And you can play MP3 or WAV files on it. We have a lot of pre-recorded messages that agencies, for example, hurricane warning or curfew in effect, and you can fly over and you can play these messages, but we always play, we have Bad Boys. We like to play that. This always makes everybody smile. It's so easily recognizable.
Others might play around with the Mavic 2, and the speaker on the Mavic 2 Enterprise on this are night and day.
It's incredible.
There's no difference.
Yeah, incredible difference. I mean, you can be at 400 feet in the air and 200-300 feet off in the distance, and this is clear. I mean, just very clear. It sounds like somebody's close to you playing on a PA and a patrol car, fire truck with a PA or something like that. One thing you'll notice, so it's sitting here on the table, and to me, I'm just kind of noticing, I haven't noticed this because everything's been stable, but it's kind of vibrating right now. The reason that is this is a CSM radar or a circular scanning module radar. This is a new component for this system, and it mounts right here on the top, and actually it's inside, it's spinning. So you can feel it has a little vibration to it. What this is designed for is to pick up very small objects in the area. So you're flying around, so if you want to have a very, very tight flight around objects, this is going to help you stay off those objects. So it helps with your anti-collision system is really what that does. So this has 360 degree. I kind of call it the bubble boy. It has 360 degrees of protection all the way around, top, bottom, front, back, sides. All these sensors built around, infrared, vision sensors. So it's redundant. Now you add this and you get even more. So what this will do is this will pick up tiny little things, tiny little limbs or tiny little wires or lines and things like that. That's going to pick this up, whereas your standard vision, it has to be something it can really see.
You're not saying it's uncrashable, are you?
It's not uncrashable. I can tell. I'm
about ready to take you up on your challenge.
When I've seen people, they'll take when one of these crash, I'm always like, man, what did they do? They had to really work at it because they really, I mean, they're kind of dummy resistant, but then sometimes it happens. But
you got some other sensors.
Yeah. So the other sensors. So start here in the back. This is a payload drop system. So this is just a modular system. It can mount right up under. We've got two brackets that mount to the leg stabilizers, but this is a payload drop. So we can plug this in, and there's a way to go through the process and be able to release this. So if we wanted to put something on a 6-foot lanyard, let's say a life preserver or anything, you wanted to go out and drop anything out to anyone from a search and rescue type situation or deliver a product or a payload, you could do that and drop it and use the camera. So you'll be able to leave everything on like it is, add this, utilize the camera to look down at your target and hit the release, and it will drop that item out. We also have what we're selling currently. There's several versions. There's actually 3 or 4 different versions of spotlights. This is the one that we're selling currently. This is the zoom model, and actually it has inside, you can see it actually, the reason it's kind of long is that the reflector moves in and out, and you can adjust the beam. So you could go from a very broad beam, so from example 400 feet will be the size of an average parking lot and building for like a fast food restaurant. It would cover that whole area from 400 feet, or you could zoom in and look at an air conditioning unit on the top of the building. It would just be right on top of that. So that's a huge difference in that. It's 4,000 lumens. It is incredible. Everyone, I know every bad guy that we've ever caught, they always think that we have a helicopter. And they're like, man, I didn't know you guys had a helicopter. We don't. Well, they think you do because they hear this and then they see that light and it sounds like a helicopter. One of the other things that we have here on the table, and again, there's a lot more, but these are just the ones that we pulled out. This is an IR10, or this is an infrared spotlight. So from the naked eye, we can turn this on. It looks like it doesn't do anything. Like you can't tell it's doing anything until you have A, some darkness, and B, you have that camera, the H20T, in the night mode or the low light mode, so it can see that infrared light. But if you can imagine kind of the same situation with this visible spotlight, you got an invisible spotlight. So in the air at night, if you've got someone, let's say a bad guy, and he's laying out in a field and it's completely night and you can't see him from the aircraft, if you've got that turned on pointing at him, it'll look like he's in a spotlight. But from the naked eye, it's dark. You don't see anything. Only that camera can see it, and he is just lit up and bright, just like a helicopter's flying over him with a spotlight on.
Would you be able to see him better than if you had an infrared camera?
So well, you got infrared and you got thermal. So that's what that is kind of sort of an infrared camera, because you got the lighting on them, so it kind of turns into an infrared model, and then you got thermal. So with thermal only sees the surface. So let's say he was up under let's say there was a big bush out in the field. So if that was a bush and it had foliage on it, from looking down, if he was up under that, you probably could not see him on the thermal camera. But on night vision, at a certain angle, you could at least see, you could see him in a different view. Okay. So like you may be able to see it versus actually seeing a surface of skin, something to change the difference in relative heat and energy.
Very cool.
But and of course this comes with a smart controller system. You can run dual smart controllers and all that. And there's a lot more components that you can add. That's the cool thing about this one, is there's so much you can add and work together to make this work.
Yeah, I see a lot of agencies use it. This is, as you say, like the workhorse, the Cadillac,
it is
Porsche,
a Cadillac.
but it is a workhorse in terms of functionality.
And one of the other things that be important for some of the viewers, this is a great bridge inspection drone. And the reason is right now we got this circular scanning module on the top. However, we can add a third gimbal bracket on the top, and you could take this camera here and move this up to the top and look straight up. Right. So you can control everything from the top, and we have those in stock. We sell those quite a bit for being able to fly up under a bridge or up under an object and look straight up at it and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
it makes
I can see it being a huge advantage, but as a guy who might be flying, I kind of like the additional radar.
Yeah, this makes a big difference. Yeah.
It might be a trade-off. Well, very cool. Well, thanks.
Good. We'll move on to the next segment. All right, in this segment, we wanted to just talk about and kind of review the 3 different GoCommand sets that we now have that have become very popular. So we have 3 different sizes, kind of for every scenario that you could imagine. First thing I wanted to talk about is, earlier when we did our Autel segment, we didn't have this on the table, but this is the Autel Smart Controller. So as you can see, it has a very nice display and a very big, kind of a robust controller, quality controller. So this is the Autel controller. So down at the end, we have our TAC Lite case, the Airworx GoCommand TAC Lite, 15-inch monitor inside, wireless screencasting, which is a screen you see. It's kind of in its in default mode right now. We've got that one shown with an Autel kit. And then we move over to the middle of the road, which is one with wheels and it has a handle. This is the TAC Pack case. It'll have 1 layer of foam, 15-inch monitor, HDMI input, wireless screencasting, 50,000 milliamp portable battery across both of these systems. We move into our original, the very first one we ever came out with, our most popular, which is the OG. It is a more robust, bigger case, wheels, handle, 24-inch monitor. So this is a much bigger monitor. 60,000 milliamp portable battery, run this monitor 10-12 hours. 2 layers of foam. We can customize this for nearly any kit. The only kit we really can't fit an aircraft in this would be an M300, for example. But we can customize it out for almost every other aircraft kit that you can imagine. But with our M300 kits, we do provide this because there's so many other components that we have designed the foam to fit in there, all your spotlights and different things like that. But these are kind of our go-to, our bread and butter. It's what makes us popular across the country. We have sold these. These are in probably 25 states now, with different, we not only with public safety agencies, but with construction companies, roofing companies, inspection line companies, gas companies. So we've sold these for all different kinds of things, and it's easy to pull it out. We call it the GoCommand because you grab it and go, and you got everything in there. You don't have to worry about grabbing 2 or 3 boxes and things like that. But we make the case only. We can customize the case. We stock foam sets for most popular systems, and then we can also make, the best part is we can do a mission ready kit for you. What we recommend is a mission ready kit, full, ready to go. what you would need to complete whatever your specific industry is.
And so the idea is, like, you have in here, you got plenty of cases for batteries, you got all of the cables and the aircraft and all that kind of stuff. So if you have a mission and you need to leave in 5 minutes, whether it's some kind of law enforcement issue or just your boss jumped on you and said,
Yeah.
hey, you got to do this now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You pick it up, throw it in the back of your truck, you're on the way. And
Absolutely.
It's got no generators or anything like that. It's going to power to have multiple missions, hours of flight time, and
Right.
get the job done.
Absolutely. And it's, it's really nice because it also provides for a sterile cockpit, is what we call it, or a sterile flight environment. Whereas you've got people anywhere. You go out on a documentation scene, you're a construction guy, you're a general manager or project manager, and you go out and you've got your pilot, and you say, you bring it, I want to see a full view, a holistic view of the property. Well, everybody's going to gather around him, around this controller, and it's going to cause problems with him. He's got a job to do. He's a pilot at that point. And you don't want to have to see everything here. You can set this aside and put it over on the tailgate or in the back of an SUV or on a table, and then get him completely separated, and you've got a sterile cockpit environment, and you've got ability to show your clients or your command staff or whomever anything you've got from the aerial view.
Yeah, you can see a lot of
Clean.
advantages of that.
Absolutely. Good deal. We'll move on to the next segment. All right, for this final segment, we've got two other things that we do. It's kind of outside the norm of the aerial drones. So we are unmanned solutions, robotics, so we are advancing into other realms. So we want to be everywhere, aerial, underwater, and also ground terrestrial. So we have entered into an agreement with Transcend Robotics out of California, USA-made product, and this is the Transcend Vantage tactical robot. So they make a couple different robots. We've got a new very small portable robot that's going to come in very soon that will be launched. But this one's very popular. This is a double patented system, and just quickly kind of go through what this is. This is designed for obviously tactical entry and public safety and things like that. But this is built kind of like a Caterpillar, as you can see. It has it's articulated into 2 points, and the whole component, the modularity and the way this is designed, the idea is this is a stair climber. The one thing that is arch nemesis of all robots, any kind of ground robot, is stairs. I mean, they just historically don't go over stairs well. If they do get on stairs, you have multiple controls to get this to go upstairs. You have paddles and different things like that you have to work with. This one, you point it to where you want it to go and you drive it. It's very simple. You can see on the controller on the front, it only has 2 joysticks. One joystick operates this entire movement of this platform. We got forward, back, and left and right, and it just turns kind of like a bulldozer. And it rolls, so it just goes. It has battery pack component, payload component, has a speaker inside, and then you have your camera component on the front. So in the front of this, you have a full PTZ FLIR camera, so it has night vision. You have a small thermal camera on the front. This has what we call a 2-mile view or a 2-mile zoom built into it, so it zooms in. You can put this in an environment and set it, and we call it kind of set it and forget it for 12 hours. And it'll run, but it has a microphone built into it. Super sensitive. So if you want to put this into a scene and listen to what's going on, you can do that, and it's going to transmit that back to this guy here.
I imagine that's for like surveillance purposes.
Yeah, like a surveillance situation, negotiation situation, you do that. And then also you can give commands through it. So you got a speaker built in here so you can transmit from the controller a command. This is built on old technology, whereas new technology with Wi-Fi interruption and things like that, you have smaller, shorter distance. And you also have all the interruptions of all the Wi-Fi components in the world and signal now. This is built on an old analog system, so you have long distance that it penetrates and transmits through walls. So it's built on an old system in order to be more effective. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Very modular. Again, components can be replaced very quickly. Has this big antenna. All we do is kind of point this in the direction where it's at. This is all sheet metal, built very well. It has a range extender that we can mount on the top. It has a system that can go into a tactical armored vehicle. So if we wanted to put an antenna on that vehicle with a magnet, we can set it on there and get inside the tactical vehicle, and we won't have any kind of transmission issues.
Yeah, it's a lot lighter than it looks too. So
it is, yeah.
Hold this for a great period of time.
That sound. It seems very heavy, but that's very light. We always like to put that in everybody's hands. The robot itself is about 50 pounds, so even it's got a strap on both ends. It's easy to pick up. The cool thing about this one is this has about a 250-pound payload capacity. So a lot of times what we do when we demo is we put somebody on there. I'm about 250 pounds, unfortunately, but I'll stand on it. So I'll stand on the battery component and the payload, and we'll drive it around. We'll do the Silver Surfer, as I call it. So
yeah,
so
riding your robot,
riding the robot around. So it works really well. And also you can pull it.
Yeah, terrible job.
So, but we can do that. It can. You can put somebody on a sled or something behind it and tow somebody out of a situation if you need to. So it's got a lot of cool stuff. The other two things that
child care applications.
Yeah, put a bassinet on there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but you can, because this is a payload component here in the middle, you can put a one of the other things that's very popular with this, and what we call our fully loaded model, I don't have it here, is a burn safe, a remote burn safe. And what a burn safe is, you can put speed, heat, or tactical gas, CS gas, things like that, and you can control the detonation of that. So when you put it in that burn safe, it's got a component that you can remotely activate and pull the pin on it. So normally what would happen is you would shoot that in with a gun or a launcher, or you would deploy that. When you do that, you always run, there's risk with that. There's risk of it, explosion, getting things, burning something, setting something on fire. With this, you can drive this in and control it, decide when you want to remotely operate and activate that burn safe. So you got that. Then we also have now a full robotic manipulator arm option that comes on it. So that's very expensive. It's actually the DARPA DoD approved arm, just launched. It's used on multiple applications through the DoD, through the military, and now it's been built to add on this. We'll actually have it in a couple of weeks to do some demonstration with. But
I'm sure everyone will ask, like, what's the price point?
So the price point, as it sits here, you're looking at about $27,000, and then you go into the remote burn safe, you're looking into the mid 30s, and then you go to that manipulator arm, the whole full setup, you're looking at about 110,000.
Gotcha.
So it goes up. The manipulator arm is very expensive because it's a DoD approved product.
Now this one over here's got an arm on it too. What's
Yep.
this?
So this is, we're going to the underwater version now. So this is an M2 Pro. So we sell quite a bit of these. This is really for a forensic recovery or an inspection, underwater inspection type situation. So this is not going to be a device. Oftentimes people think this could be to save lives. Really, you can save lives by not putting a diver in the water for something that does not need immediate attention. So a lot of times you've got divers going down to recover an unfortunate event where it's maybe recovering a person, a body, or to identify things. There's a lot of up and down, up and down, up and down during that recovery process, because especially in lakes around here, you don't know what that is. You see an object on a side scan and it could be a tree. So all that up and down and that risk, that's risking divers. This you can deploy down. You don't have any set time frame on deployment, how long it takes. You can go down 100 feet in about 10 minutes and look and then come back up. It does have a manipulator arm on the bottom here. It can fully controlled here, and you can fully control this. You can manipulate items, pick things up, recover them, bring them up, whatever you'd like to do. And of course, when things are down low in the water, everything's lighter. So you can actually move quite a bit with this, even some heavy weight with this guy. And this is completely omnidirectional, very full control on this underwater rover.
Similar to what you had with the drone?
Very, yeah, absolutely, very similar. So it kind of flies through the water at the same point. You have front, back, left, right, and you can roll it left and right, kind of like ailerons on an airplane, and you can pitch it up and down. So if you wanted to get into a situation, you have something, you could actually pitch this straight down. Gotcha. And pick something up off the bottom, and it holds those positions because of the 8 omnidirectional motors that are on there.
I see there's a tether. So what's
the
distance on the tether?
So it's a tether system. This tether is 636 feet. So you've got about a 330-foot dive depth on this from pressure and so forth, but you have 636 feet fully. So if you wanted to go out quite a distance and go down, this guy is very modular as well. So we have, this is the base system. This is our most popular. It's under $10,000. And then we move into, you can put like a side scan sonar on there, which is, that in itself is about $35,000-$40,000 just for that module. You can put USBL, basically an RTK positioning system on it, so you know exactly by GPS coordinate underwater where a target's at if you wanted to go to it and mark it. There's lighting components to go on here, so it's very, very, very robust in what you can do with this and add on to it. So you can go from $10,000 to about $70,000 fully loaded.
Now the tether, is it power and data, so can it stay down there indefinitely?
So this is just, yeah, so it's bringing all your data back, so it's transmitting back your image from your camera. So you got a 4K camera on the front, you got headlights, so you got two stage LEDs built into it, and it's transmitting all that down there. So this is going to come back to, this has got a battery built in, so that's what this big component is.
I got you.
And then you got batteries here. There is an AC power from surface option. It goes into a bigger control panel, and you can just plug that into a generator or something of that nature, and you can leave this guy down virtually unlimited. So
Gotcha.
I mean, for hours and hours and hours, and it wouldn't be running off this battery. It would be transmitting through a separate line. It would actually have another component and another line to it for power.
Gotcha.
But the way this one runs with a standard battery, you're looking at about an hour underwater
Okay.
with this. Quite a bit of time underwater with this.
I would imagine that tether would be nice too in case of failure. You can yank it back.
Absolutely, yeah. You can follow this. So a lot of times that's what, once this runs down, we have divers. So here locally, Pickens County and Anderson County both have these on their emergency management teams. And Oconee, Pickens and Anderson, Pickens County has used this several times for recoveries, and they've been super successful with it, whereas limited the time to recover a human body, and also identification and reduced, obviously, like we said, reduced risk of divers and all that. So it's been a huge, they preach about it oftentimes.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so.
Well, listen, Stephen, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
spending this time and kind of going through all the various different, both underwater, aerial, ground, terrestrial type of robots. This is a great thing. SCi-CAST, so I mentioned this as we started here. Stephen is the owner-operator of Airworx. They're a proud supporter of SCi-CAST. Their information, or if you want to get more information about them, I would encourage you to go to our website and find any of their logos that are on our website. Click on that, and it'll go to their logo, or excuse me, their website directly. And Steve, I'm sure you'll be happy to take phone calls and questions from these guys and answer any questions you have. So,
Absolutely.
Again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Good. Thank you so much.